Your mentality is how you approach certain situations in life. It's essentially the basis for that, and understanding how to go about a relationship, a circumstance, your job, your path, right? And ultimately discovering quite a lot. But oftentimes, a slight change in perspective can really alter the course for everything in your life, in your future, and whatever the case might be. So we're going to explore that in this video and try and get a better understanding of the fact that life isn't always meant to play to your benefit. A lot of the time it doesn't. It's not here to, coddle you through everything. So let's get it. The first thing I want to talk about is arguably the most prominent influence in anyone's life, which is their own social circle, the people around them. People who you surround yourself with quite literally can reflect who you are as an individual. And I find that a lot of the time, people can sort of group up or hang out together or associate with themselves with each other as a means of whether it's escaping or complaining about the world. It's hard because, especially if you are lonely or you want friends, you can almost latch on to any opportunity you can get. A lot of the times, the people you're around aren't necessarily catered to your benefit, and you're not really catered to their benefit. And the harsh reality in all of that is that sometimes, even when you may recognize this and you may try to tell people or influence people in a positive way, they may never change. They may never be open to the idea of altering a habit in their life, of altering their own perspective. And that's the reality. Not everyone is going to change. Some people just will stay the same, and you have to understand that a lot of the time it's just up to them. It's not up to you to change people. Gratitude goes such a long way when you're able to acknowledge the most minute details of your own life. Being thankful to wake up and be able to go about your daily routines can go a long way, because when we wake up, sometimes it's like, man, I don't want to do this. I'm tired, I'm cold, I don't want to work today because I worked yesterday, right? Like, I just want to relax, I want to have fun with my friends. And being appreciative and acknowledging the very small details of your life is a massive step. As minute as it might seem, it can go a very long way. But sometimes you can maybe try and say those affirmations or express a form of gratitude, but not really feel like you actually mean it. And depression, anxiety, fear, stress, and all of those sort of what you would maybe consider negative emotions are very real. And sometimes maybe you don't actually feel grateful for your family, for your friends, for your job, and for all these things. Maybe you resent all of it. And I feel like people who might struggle a little bit more to be grateful probably don't have a whole lot of joy or passion in life. I mean, think about that. Like, what are you passionate about? What do you think about? What do you do throughout a day that brings you a sense of joy, a sense of satisfaction? And a lot of people, believe it or not, might legitimately have nothing that makes them feel that way. And if that is you, perhaps, then first of all, I would not beat yourself up about it, but also take accountability. That's essentially the moral to this story, is that you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out what you like. You got to find who it is that you are as a person. Because although life may not really work to your benefit all the time, it does present opportunities. That's the one thing that is guaranteed for every single one of us. We all receive an opportunity somewhere in our life to break a habit, to try something new, to experience and willingly go in to change. Obviously, it's very early in this new year, and by the way, Happy New Year to those of you watching. I actually woke up New Year's Day and was pretty sick. I didn't feel like myself, not just physically, I had a little bit of a cold, but very much mentally as well. And that has carried on. Today is the 3rd of January as I'm recording this video. That has sort of carried on over the next couple of days. And of course, being sick can bring with it a lot of feelings. Never is it fun or comfortable. It's very irritating, at least that's how I feel, right? Like waking up and feeling sick as I hop in the shower, I'm sitting there and just thinking, man, like, why am I sick? Why can't I get better? Right? This is me giving you an example of how I have at times played the victim. And the main source of that frustration is that I can't really work out. That's like the biggest thing, because working out is something that has become a staple in my life. Now, I feel a bit better today. I may not sound sick to anybody watching. I actually do feel a little bit better today, and I think I will go to the gym. But over the last couple of days, I felt like I really do need that rest, and it's tough. It's difficult because I feel so unproductive. And guess what? It's the very beginning of the year, right? Everyone's going out and setting those resolutions and taking action, and here I am doing nothing, right? That's how you almost want to think. That's how your emotions can sabotage you and sort of convince you of a particular reality. Even through these sort of negative happenings, there's some kind of a lesson, right? Setbacks occur in all of our lives, and sometimes they can be from our own accord, and other times they can just happen, right? Like being sick or getting injured or getting in an accident of any kind, right? A lot of different things can sort of just manifest at a particular time that seems very unforgiving, and that is where we learn. Through those setbacks, through those trials, through those failures and those downs, it's so difficult because you don't want to be set back. You don't want to feel like you're regressing. And that's the thing, ultimately, we never are actually regressing in life. Like, we're constantly evolving, even if our actions themselves might not seem like it. Even if we fall back into a toxic habit or a toxic relationship or an addiction, there's constantly lessons that we're learning and development being undergone. And it all comes full circle. Everything in our life really depends on the way that we approach it and how we go about it. And sometimes maybe there's an emotional situation that arises, right? You deal with loss, you deal with grief, you deal with sadness, you deal with injury, sickness, disease, all these things. And it's important to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you have to feel, right? If you are sick, or if you are sad and depressed, if you are jealous of someone, then there's very likely a reason as to why that is the case. And it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. What it does make you is a person, is a human being. The four most important qualities that I find to embody in my own personal life are love, gratitude, discipline, and humility. And love is something that I have had a tendency to kind of deprive myself of. Right? Like, I have to earn love. I'm not capable or worthy of being loved. And that's very much a reflection of past experiences, of maybe some events that happened in my childhood. And I can go farther into that. I have in other videos, but I can in other videos. Regardless, it's something that I'm really trying to learn how to embody and live through and feel, not be convinced that I don't deserve it. And understand that we are all worthy of love innately as creatures, as beings roaming this planet. Gratitude is the second one, and obviously I've talked a lot about gratitude, but a lot of times we take for granted such commonplace aspects of our life, like getting up and taking a shower, or brushing our teeth, or going for a walk, or going to the gym, or saying hello to our parents, our friends, our partner, right? We take for granted the things that seem so fixated, that they seem like they're staples in our livelihood. But little do we recognize, when we aren't being grateful, especially, the impermanence of everything, the impermanence of life. The fact that, hey, I'm gonna die one day, bro. You're gonna die one day too. Everyone you know is gonna die one day. I don't say this to scare anybody. It's just reality. And everything you know currently will not be a part of your reality one day. Like, it's important to just be grateful for what you currently have. And really acknowledge these little things. I think that's going to allow you to not only have that better mindset, but feel better, like be in a better state of mind and energy and being as an individual. And the third thing that I mentioned was discipline. Holding yourself accountable in that sense, right? Being disciplined, being willing to take on risks, to take on challenges, to be able to delay gratification and comfort. Like, I want to sit here and watch YouTube videos that are purely entertainment. I want to sit there and lie in bed and watch my favorite show or play video games. And listen, like, I've been there. Everyone's been there. We're all imperfect, and we all need time for entertainment and things like that. But there is a point where it becomes repetitive and you're not allowing yourself to try something new, to expand. The reality of growth is that it's uncomfortable. You have to do something that you've never done to attain something that you've never had. That involves doing your own research. That goes for journaling and facing your emotions and the depth of your own humanity. Last but not least, we have humility. And although by definition it might essentially imply a low to modest view of oneself or something along those lines, it really is just a sort of humble feeling. It's not putting yourself on a higher pedestal above your loved ones, your peers, society, or lower pedestal than anybody. It's accepting that you're just a human. You're flawed, right? I'm flawed. We have a lot of strengths and great heroic characteristics, but we have a lot of villainous and tyrannical and narcissistic traits as well. And it's important to acknowledge those and work on them and understand that you're forever going to be imperfect, but it's important to continue to evolve and essentially strive to be the best version of you that you can possibly be, right? And that may not be this multi-billionaire with a sexy wife and like 3 kids or whatever the case might be, living in LA or something like that. Like, it's not necessarily as materialistic as that. It's about like who are you as a person, right? Those things are great, and it's good to have goals and strive for things like that. But who are you as an individual? What type of growth have you actually managed to obtain, right? What wisdom have you garnered over the years? I personally was very fortunate to have 2 loving parents who did a great job raising me. I would say one thing, my mother definitely was very protective of me, and the way that developed into my own adulthood was the feeling of being a little bit intimidated by taking risks, which obviously a risk is very challenging to take, but at the same token, taking no risk is a form of risk. And that is something I want to hold myself accountable to doing, is trying new things, trying to learn a new skill. I don't know how to cook, so maybe trying to learn that. Maybe trying to learn something like boxing or yoga. These are just examples that I'm bringing up. But taking on some new form of unfamiliar challenge, maybe going somewhere that I've never been, and just doing something I've never done, that can really bring about some form of wisdom. And I want to hold myself accountable in that regard. Like, yeah, I have been a little bit intimidated by that idea of change or risk or doing something new. And the reason I'm making this video is to talk to you as a viewer, to talk to anyone watching or listening, and also to kind of relay this idea to myself. It's very important and something that we all could use. So your mindset is essential, and the trembling reality is that life doesn't really owe you anything. How are you going to respond? Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe. And Will from Shadow Ascent, signing out.